All right, let's go to Michelle in Pensacola, Florida. Good morning, Michelle. What's going on?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We are just saving the world. What's up?
So I was a previous caller about my daughter. You had given me some advice in the past. We were awaiting a diagnosis.
Yes.
And
hey, so first, let me say this. Did I screw it up the first time?
no, you did not screw it up the first time.
Okay, good. I was hoping you weren't calling me to tell me I was an idiot. And so you were one of the first callers, one of the OGs way back in the day.
Yes, I was on one of your first shows. I was so excited about that.
And it's just continued to go pew since then. But hey, thanks for hanging with us. Okay, so you called and you had give us a reminder of what was going on.
So my daughter, she was 2 at the time, and there were some delays going on, and I called asking for some advice because, I was worried that I wasn't doing enough for her to make sure that she was where she needed to be, kind of just, in an uncertain spot. So you helped me through that and, found my community where we were. But we've since then relocated because we are a military family.
Oh, man.
And we also have gotten an official diagnosis for Cadence as well.
Okay, so what's the diagnosis?
So she actually has it's a somewhat rare genetic condition, and it causes epilepsy, which we got the official diagnosis for that back in April. So she's having silent seizures, and it also, along with that, there's an intellectual delay. She still doesn't talk. She's almost 4. She'll be 4 in November, and she's got a movement disorder as well. So she's quite the clumsy child.
Yeah. So with the is the epilepsy disorder, is that really are the doctors saying that's the root and these other things are derivative?
So it's actually, the epilepsy is derivative of the genetic condition that we just got the diagnosis of the genetic condition last month.
Okay. All right. And you've got a little one too.
Yes. So Eden is 9 months old now.
Because why not, right? Why not relocate in the middle of a pandemic, plus get your special needs diagnostics for your little one, and then have a 9-month-old?
Yeah, just go all in.
Wow. Okay, so tell me how that's going.
It's going great. Cadence is an amazing big sister. It's so hard with her not being able to communicate, but she loves Eden. She comes over, she gives Eden kisses all the time when I'm feeding her. She plays with her. Like she's doing so well. And there were so many worries that I had in my mind because people kept telling me how terrible Cadence was going to take it, but they were wrong.
Yes. And so you just told me something important. I know we haven't even got to your question yet. There's a difference between non-communicative and non-verbal. And so your daughter may not be speaking yet, but she's truly communicating a lot. Is that fair?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
It's definitely fair. It just looks much different than what I expected.
There you go. All right. So what's your question?
Yeah, so kind of, what I just said, I feel bad that sometimes I feel this way, but these girls, they're my whole world. But sometimes it feels like I am grieving what I expected motherhood to look like. With everything going on with Cadence, I feel like I'm constantly kind of on edge and, worried and keeping an extra close eye on her, almost like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think that I am just struggling to sometimes take a deep breath and try to enjoy the moment a little bit more.
So, will you do me a huge favor?
Yes.
Will you redo that whole thing? I'm going to re-ask you the question.
Okay.
And you apologized and minimized before you even said what's going on in your heart and head. And I want you to rephrase it, and I want you to tell me exactly, no, I'm afraid I'm going to get found out, or I'm afraid I'm not allowed to say these things. I'm a mom, and I'm supposed to feel. I want you to tell me what's actually going on in your heart and head. Is that cool?
That's cool.
Okay, so we'll hit rewind. And for those of you who don't know what rewind is because you're young, it's this thing we used to do with tapes, and it was incredible. So we'll rewind, and then, So, hey, so what's going on, Michelle? Tell me what's going on. Why'd you call?
Hey, I'm calling because I am struggling with the fact that motherhood is turning out differently than what I always imagined.
Okay, let's rewind and do it again. Hey, Michelle, what's going on? Be more honest.
Okay. Hey, Dr. D, I'm doing great.
No! Rewind again. I'll help you. Hey, Dr. D, I'm so pissed off that my 2-year-old has all these physical and disability challenges. I am super pissed that all my friends' kids seem to be all perfect, and on Instagram, everything's going great. I'm so pissed that I just can't hug my 9-year-old without worrying that my 2.5-year-old's going to fall down or my 3-year-old's going to have some issue. I'm so pissed that we had to move again, and I love that we're in the military, but God almighty, can we just get some community? Is that closer to?
Yeah, that's closer to.
And I hate that for you. I hate that somebody told you you're not allowed to feel your feelings right now. I hate that somebody told you that, oh, by the way, your daughter's going to screw up everything, so don't worry, all that stuff you're carrying. So tell me where you're really truly at. I also did a really annoying thing, which I want to call out that I'm some man that you've never met telling you what your feelings are out loud. I just did that, and that was pretty lame of me. You give me your own words. What are you experiencing?
So in my own words, I think you kind of hit it right on the head. I'm seeing my friends do all these different things with their children, and it's things that I would love to do with Cadence, but we're not able to, or, we attempt to, and the outcome isn't exactly what, exactly what I wanted it to be or what I thought it would be like. Even as little as going and taking her to do something that I think she would have fun doing, and she ends up not enjoying it, or it's just a bad day, and it's just not what I thought that it would be.
Are any of these things rolling off that you're a bad mom? Like this is your fault?
A little bit. I've been working through that for a long time. I feel like it's kind of been in my head since Cadence started missing her milestones.
Yeah.
And she was just a baby.
So with some of the parents I've worked with over the years, I've seen it over and over where their kid is born with a genetic issue or with a learning disability or some sort of challenge, and then mom and or dad, often mom, sometimes dad, own this as though this is our fault. Something about us created this child with these challenges. And then it becomes super your job to make sure that they are catching up, whatever that means, that they are having super tons of fun, whatever that means. And with kids with special needs, they don't always have fun in traditional ways. They don't communicate in traditional ways. They do things differently. The circus may scare the crap out of them, or they may be too short to ride the roller coaster for a long time, or whatever the thing is. And that just compounds this ceaseless, never-ending guilt. So am I on the right track there?
You are.
Okay. And then you get pissed at your kid that they're not having fun, or you get mad at your friend, and then you feel guilty about getting mad, or you feel guilty about, it's just this never-ending cycle of guilt. Is that fair?
Yes, it is. It's very fair.
Ugh. So, have you said out loud, I hate this?
I have not.
Okay. I need you to know it's okay to say that. In fact, you have to. If you don't acknowledge how you truly feel, there will be a widening gap between the problems your body is trying to solve for you and this facade, this fake universe you're trying to create, where it's different, but it's okay. You know what I mean? And It's not okay. It's not. It's not how we drew it up.
Right.
And then we got to deal with and this is what is. This is the reality. How's your husband doing with this?
He's doing okay. We've had these discussions where, before we got the diagnosis for Cadence, it was a lot of, what are you most worried about? And a lot of times it always came back to, what if it is progressive or degenerative? And I prayed and prayed and prayed, and luckily this condition is not that. So I'm so grateful for that. And so I think that's part of where some of the guilt comes from too, because it could be worse. So I try to minimize what it truly is.
There you go. And comparing grief just takes your soul from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could never compare grief. Like, oh, my mom passed away, but she was 70, so I had more time than my friend's mom. Man, your mom passed away, right? So it's just sitting in that hard stuff. Have y'all had I'll just say this. This isn't related to your question, but I think it's important to have those type of conversations with some regularity.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you guys. Y'all are way ahead of the curve for having this conversation before she was born. But I think it's good to have check-in conversations every couple of months. Just how's our experience? How are you?
Right.
You know what I mean? To check back in, because all these milestones are going to be different now. So what's your question? I feel like I'm talking too much. What's your question?
You're not talking too much. I think my question is, how do I just live more in the moment without having to feel so heavy all of the time?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I want you to think of that weight you feel, that inability to breathe, as your body trying to experience the reality of what you're living in versus what your head is trying to convince yourself is actually going on. What I mean by that is your body knows that your daughter's hurting. Your body knows that it wants to be over here with your special needs daughter and with your 9-month-old. Your body knows, oh, by the way, I'm supposed to fill in the blank around the house and whatever, and at work and with my husband, all that stuff. And your head's trying to say, yeah, but it could be worse, so we're all okay. Everybody just smile. Let's get in the minivan and let's go. You know what I mean? There's a gap.
Yeah.
And so think of that weight, I love that you use that word, that heaviness as, and it's going to sound so cheesy, please don't roll your eyes, as unfelt feelings that you got to acknowledge are there. And instead of trying to pretend they're not real, I want you to enter into an intentional space of, I'm going to feel sad for the next hour. I'm going to be intentional about it. And for me, I write that stuff down, and it doesn't work for everybody. Some people need to say it out loud and tell a friend. You've heard me say a million times, grief demands a witness. And so having somebody you can say, I hate all of this. And I love, love, love being a mom, and I love my babies, and I love that I was chosen to be the person to navigate all of this. Nobody else could do this and love these kids like I can. And I hate that I got this assignment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's both and. And if you try to blow past one or the other, then your body's going to wear it. And it doesn't mean it's all going to be roses, but you will go through life lighter. You'll hold it looser. And so we're all going to the circus today, and you get to the circus and Cadence has just an absolute barn burner meltdown, or she has a seizure six minutes in and you got to leave. You'll hold that loosely instead of, it didn't work. It will be a loosely held, well, we gave it a good shot, and now we're going to go take care of this, this, and this, and this, and we're going to be able to turn the corner there.
Right.
What does feeling that look like for you?
I feel like feeling that probably is just taking some time to really just sit there, and I probably just need to cry it out for a little bit, because I try not to do that.
Yeah, please don't hold that in. A lot of times the grief swirls around inside of us, and getting it out, letting it be heard, whether you write it down, tell somebody, that's important. I can sit and stew for a long time and like have a quote unquote quiet time, whatever that means. And I come away more fried than before I went in, if I don't sit down and write stuff out and actually put it down on paper. Hang on a second. Kelly, would you be willing to weigh in here?
Yeah, sure. The main thing that I would say...
Well, hold on a second. Michelle, Kelly, tell Michelle your situation.
So, Michelle, we have 2 special needs kids, one far more than the other. Our daughter has spina bifida. She's 18, but she's only about 5 developmentally. And there's also some mental illness. So quite a bit going on there. The one thing that I would say, because you talked about how there's certain things that your daughter can't do, certain things, those kind of places we wanted to take the family and things that we wanted to do. There's a fine line between we do these things as a family together because this is what everyone can do, but also knowing that it's okay for you to get her a sitter sometimes and take your other kids to do those things.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
We do that often. Like, we took our daughter to Disney, and it was awful. It did not go well. Day one, she looked at me like 5 minutes in and said, "I want to go home." It's like, great, we have 7 days left. Awesome. And we can't go home. So we know that we're probably going to go next year. She won't go. She hated it. It was awful for everyone. Nobody had a good time. So she'll probably go to my in-laws where she has their undivided attention for 6-7 days. And that's her idea of heaven.
Yeah.
And, we want to take our son to the beach. Well, the wheelchair doesn't go really well over the beach, over the sand. So she has camps that she goes to as well. That's something we can talk about off air, but the camps are great in the summer. And then when we use that time to take our son somewhere else. So you can still do those things with your other children. And that's okay too, because they need to have those quote unquote normal experiences as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Of course.
And Kelly, can you, because all mine is theoretical. I haven't sat in the seat. What wisdom would you give to Michelle about those days when you're just pissed off that you've got hurting kids, or that you just want to be able to go on a date and not have to deal with fill in the blank?
Yeah, there are days you're going to be pissed. I mean, we've had our daughter. We adopted our daughter 13 years ago, and I'm still pissed half the time. Because it's not what we thought was going to happen. It's not what we thought was going to be. And my husband and I know that it's okay for me to, gripe to him and him to gripe to me, because that's our safe space to do that. And I've also got a group of friends I can do that with. And they know that, because I know that if anybody outside heard me, I would sound like a horrible human being for some of the things that I gripe about. But that's okay if you have that safe place that you can do that with your spouse. And then I really recommend a group of girlfriends too that will let you do that without thinking, wow, she's awful, because they just know you're in a crappy situation and there's just no way around it. It sucks. Yeah. But you have to have those, and you have to have those outlets to talk about it. And then you have to laugh at really, really inappropriate things. Because you're just like, you have to, because if not, you'll just cry all the time.
That's why Kelly's perfect for this particular show.
Yeah, because you just have to laugh, and you're like, our life is stupid. But you know what?
Yeah.
It's ours, and there's some great times in it, and there's some really, really hard times. But you have to find great sitters that can handle your child so you can go get out. There's churches in our area that do what they call respite nights. Our church does one once a month where our kids get to go and we get to have a date night for free. So there are things like that you can find to offer those little oases kind of in the desert that you're in. If you have to look for them, but don't isolate yourself, because then you'll just be under your bed in the fetal position.
Yes.
Which is where I usually am after this show, after Kelly's talking in my ear too. Hey, thanks so much, Kelly. Hey, Michelle, will you do me a huge favor? 2 things.
Yes.
Number 1, be honest with yourself. Okay?
Okay.
Don't hide from you. And that's such a temptation. You are allowed to have your feelings. And it's both and obviously you got to get up and make sure everybody's fed, make sure everybody's loved, and go figure out what the day's going to look like. It's not one or the other. And we live in a culture that says you do one or the other. You just led by your feelings, and if you feel sad, you just YOLO and sit in bed and watch Netflix. And then the other side of it is a good mom, whatever that means, looks like this, whatever that means, and you are always feeling less than. So I want you to take permission to feel how you feel, and love how you love. And you got to get up and do the right thing. The second thing is Kelly mentioned it, please get a gang. And I know that's so hard in a military family where you're moving and moving and moving and moving. But continue to reach out and make sure you got a crew around you. Is that cool?
Okay. That's cool. I can do that.
And call us back. Now you're like in the fam. So call us back and we'll just keep going on, especially because in like a couple of years, there's going to be some knucklehead little kid thinking Constance is your daughter's so beautiful, and we'll tell you how to get in a fight with a 6-year-old, right?
My husband already taught her how to shake her head no when he said he'll tell her, he'll say, "What do you say when all the boys say they want kisses?" And she'll shake her head and say, "No, no, no."
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. Well, Michelle, you're a saint. Thank you so much for calling in, and thanks for being honest. You got a hard road to hoe and a blessed road to hoe, and it's the same. It's both and it's a mess, and it's chaos, and it's joy. And thanks for calling in, trusting us, even me.